Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
After a massive evacuation over last weekend on Monday, the arrival of Hurricane Gustav. A massive local cleanup effort took place throughout the entire week, trying to restore power to better than 1 million who had lost their power. The Saints spent the entire week in Indianapolis and rolled back into New Orleans on Friday. And what an unbelievable crowd when you think about how many people, millions in this region, to be evacuated out, knowing there's a chance Hurricane Ike is coming in. But many unquestionably have come back, if not for a number of days, certainly for this game.
Well, there's going to be a huge energy in this building, and obviously the Saints, much like they did in 2006 to start the season, want to build off that energy.
Tampa Bay won the toss, deferred giving the football to Sean Payton's New Orleans Saints high-octane offense. A 44-year-old native of Naperville, Illinois, in his third season at the helm in New Orleans. Pierre Thomas waiting on a kick. And the NFL season is underway in the Big Easy. Thomas out across the 20 and dropped at the 23-yard line. That's where the Saints, the fourth-ranked overall offense in the NFL a season ago, will put it in play. Drew Brees, 29-year-old Austin, Texas native, a second-round pick originally out of Purdue by San Diego, became the starter there a year later. Injured his shoulder at the end of 05. The Saints took a flop. Dividends they have reaped since then.
When you see that 67% completion on better than 650 throws, that's incredible.
Handoff to Pierre Thomas. And he picks up maybe 3. Take a look at the rest of New Orleans offensively. Man, so many choices for Drew Brees, whether to hand it off. With Deuce McAllister back, we'll see him some today. And up front, an outstanding line.
Well, it's a veteran line that ought to hold up well against this tough Tampa Bay front four.
Brees, his first throw under pressure. Lays it off for Reggie Bush. And that's a first down to the 43-yard line.
You know, with Reggie Bush, a lot of people are questioning whether it was a good pick or not. You know, when you look at the benchmark of being a 300, 350 carry year, he's never going to measure up to that. But when you look at both the receptions and the runs that he combines, that's a great combination. This is a good pick and a dynamic player.
Bush rededicating himself, if you will, a further commitment, staying here in New Orleans during the offseason rather than returning to his home in Southern California. After a 16-yard reception, he'll get it on the ground and picks up close to 9. The Buccaneers last season, the #1 ranked defense in the NFC, second best in the National Football League. They've added Kevin Carter up front. Derek Brooks, the ageless one.
Yeah, you know, they're an outstanding football team defensively, and they're going to have more of a rotation. Derek Brooks told us this week that they're used to rotating 13, 14 people. They feel like the depth they have, they can rotate as many as 16, 17 people on this defense. That's going to pay dividends long term.
Brooks in his 14th season out of Florida State has had a Hall of Fame career unquestionably. Play blown dead before it ever got started.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know, this is the kind of stuff when you get a nice drive going. They've had a couple plays to move down into Buck territory, and now all of a sudden, and it's predictable in the first game, certainly, but to have that procedure penalty at home, these can be drive killers. We're going to have to see if the Saints can overcome this.
Penalty will back them up 5. So first and 15 from midfield. Thomas brings it back close to the original line of scrimmage. For those of you wondering why you saw a green helmet surrounding the face of Barrett Ruud, for the first time this year in the NFL, the defense now has communication from either upstairs or on the bench, much like the quarterback on offense.
Well, they've been talking about that for years. They feel like they're evened up with the offense now, communicating both sides.
Second down, Breeze to Bush. Short of a first down. It brings up 3rd and 3 for the Saints. When they began to evacuate this entire area, knowing that Hurricane Gustav was coming, the Saints, of course, adhered to that, and they made their way north to Indianapolis, where Sean Payton said they had an outstanding week leading up to this game.
Well, the difficult thing is they may have to evacuate again next week on their way to Washington.
3rd down. Great protection for Breeze. Looking towards the corner. Touchdown, David Patton.
Well, you can see here they stacked the receivers on one another, and they got the rookie in behind Talib. Didn't get enough depth. You got to be as deep as the deepest, and you get David Patton in behind it. That's probably a rookie mistake.
Aqib Talib, their #1 pick out of Kansas, and a tough way to start your career. What a start for Breeze and company. They go 76 yards. Breeze hitting 4 for 4 on it.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees.
What a start for the home team. The New Orleans Saints, who set so many club records in each of the last 2 years on offense. Their opening drive of this season, they marched down the field for a score. Ball fumbled around on a line drive kickoff and covered up at the 25-yard line by the tight end Alex Smith.
Yeah, you can see here at the top when they get into the drop, they do a great job creating the pocket for Drew Brees, being able to buy just that extra time to get the ball off down the field to David Patton. Great job on protection. He bought just that little extra time.
Buccaneers get the football on first down, and they hand it to Ernest Graham. He's out across the 30, picking up close to 4. Jeff Garcia, 38 years old, out of Gilroy, California, undrafted out of San Jose State. Played 5 years in the CFL, signed on with the Niners in '99. He's led 3 teams to the playoffs. He just wins games. And here's where he's dangerous, rolling out, and just throws it away. And a late flag comes in from the near sideline. That flag thrown by the official on the other side of the field.
Probably indicates holding on the backside when you scramble away that backside protection.
Ineligible downfield. Number 65 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Like I said, it's always an ineligible guy downfield. Anytime you break the pocket, though, you run the risk of someone being downfield. Very ambitious on Tampa Bay's part with this crowd and the energy to come up and run a no huddle.
Tampa Bay offensively. Up front, they've added Jeff Fain. He left the Saints to come be the man in the middle with the Buccaneers up front. Jeremy Zuda playing in place of the injured Davin Joseph. Galloway did not play a single snap in the preseason with a groin injury. We'll keep an eye on that timing between Galloway and Garcia. Garcia dropped by Charles Grant.
This is a great job by the secondary, making Garcia hold the ball and step up. But this is just the type of rush that New Orleans is looking for with its new defensive line.
Well, the Saints were so woeful defensively a season ago. They have the #1 pick Cedric Ellis, Jonathan Vilma in the linebacking core, and a number of changes in the secondary, hoping to be better. Reggie Bush has it sail over his head. And an unbelievable punt inside the 10, delivered by Josh Bidwell, a 60-yarder. Saints are rolling early.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light Lime, the superior drinkability of Bud Light with a splash of a 100% natural lime flavor.
One of the big stories in the NFL during the offseason, Jeremy Shockey, after 6 sensational years with the New York Giants, coming to New Orleans.
Well, he's going to be a hell of a weapon for him. It's just a matter of how much time they have not been able to spend together, Drew Brees and Jeremy Shockey.
Play action to Bush, and he'll take the feed from Brees. And tiptoes his way out of bounds at the 19. That's good enough for a first down.
That's the kind of play that you don't give Reggie Bush enough credit for. That's no different than an extended handoff. Those that want to question how many snaps he can take and how dynamic a running back he is, when you get those little flare passes out to the edge and you get the ball in his hands behind the line of scrimmage, it's no more than an extended handoff. You've got to look at it in the same way.
Well, the Saints 2 years ago ranked 2nd in the NFL in yards after the catch. Reggie Bush #1 and Marcus Colston #2. They're going to hand it to Reggie this time. Spins away from one tackler, but coming up from the strong safety spot is Jermaine Phillips to knock him down.
Defense does a great job here of recognizing the draw. This is obviously a big play for the Saints, given the passing attack they have. So you know Monty Kiffin has drilled his defensive line to read that draw on every play. And once they saw it was draw, they came screaming in there to get a negative play.
Colston in motion and Brees to throw it. Finds Thomas, who cuts across the 25. Flag comes in as he's still on his feet, dragged down by Rondé Barber at the 35, but this may come back. It is holding against New Orleans.
Yeah, this is too bad. This is coming back.
Holding, number 73, offense, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Second and long, you know a screen's coming. Everybody's yelling it, but those defensive linemen on a 2nd and long can't wait to get up the field and try to get themselves a sack. Just don't quite react to it as well. Kind of hard to see where that hold came in, but I'm sure it happened.
Well, you had a disagreement from time to time during your coaching days with the Zebras, if you will.
And a lighter wallet to prove it.
Second down and 15, and Brees drilled, and it's intercepted by Phillip Buchanan. And he will race towards the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Heavy pressure by Barrett Ruud, and lofted into the air, picked off by Buchanan. A 26-yard interception return for a touchdown.
You know, John Gruden is constantly challenged that Tampa Bay defense. We've got to have points from you. And it's not in an apologetic way saying, hey, we can't do it offensively. This team prides itself in getting points off of turnovers, and he's constantly goading them. You've got to give us more. You've got to give us more. This is a huge momentum change for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That is a 5th career interception returned for a touchdown by Phillip Buchanan. He's only been in the league 6 years. Point after is good by Matt Bryant. So the Buccaneers, known for their defense, make a play on New Orleans' 2nd drive to tie it up.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the new Hyundai Genesis. The barrier to luxury has been officially kicked in. By State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates. And by Visa. Go on, live life. And remember that no matter what it takes, life takes Visa.
Phillip Buchanan picking off Drew Brees and racing 26 yards for a game-tying score. 8:13 to play in the opening quarter.
Well, we've seen the best of what each unit has to offer, offensively from New Orleans and defensively from Tampa.
Pierre Thomas from the 1. Good blocking ahead of him and an excellent return to the 31, but a flag comes in. So Alberto Riveron working his first game in the NFL as a referee, so you know it's a big day for him today as well.
Yeah, John.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the receiving team. Holding, number 50, that penalty is declined. Illegal block in the back, number 39, that foul will be enforced half the distance to the goal line. First down. Timeout.
So they'll back up the Saints on offense, and we'll back out. Tied at 7 in the opening quarter.
Great setup by Monty Kiffin, pinching the tackle inside and bringing Rudd and Cato June on a weak side dog, putting great pressure on Drew Brees.
First down, play action, looking down the field, and an open receiver, and overthrown is Devery Henderson.
Right, you can see this action now. Rudd comes inside, hits Drew Brees just as the ball's in the air. Great turnover.
Monty Kiffin in his 26th year in the National Football League, his 13th as defensive coordinator in Tampa Bay, and the father of the Tampa Cover 2, and you'll talk more about that, Brian Billick, exactly what that is, what that means as we progress during the game today. Carry out to the 10 will bring up 3rd down and 7 for New Orleans. Right now, game break time. Let's go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
I don't know if you guys heard, but the Jets got themselves a new quarterback in the offseason, and he's paying dividends already. Brett Favre's second possession as a Jet hooks up with Jericho Cotchery for a 56-yard score. Celebration looks familiar, except it's in Jet green and white. They're up on the Fins by a touchdown. Tom and Brian.
Kurt, thank you very much. Unquestionably the single biggest off-season story in recent memory, the whole Brett Favre saga. 3rd down, Brees again under heavy heat. Pass is incomplete, no flag, as the intended receiver Colston had it batted down by Tenard Jackson.
Great play by Tenard Jackson here, tying that up exactly right. So often you see players come in, they can't help themselves but to get in there a little early, tying that up just perfect, wrapped around, did not affect the receiver at all. Good non-call by the officials.
Steve Weatherford puts a foot on it. And the rookie Dexter Jackson out of Appalachian State touches it for the first time. Great field position for the Buccaneers. They'll start this drive at their own 47. The Buccaneer D standing tall after the opening possession.
Oh, can I help you?
Yeah, my wife thinks we need a new roof, but I agree 100%. I mean, a new roof it is. Huh? Huh? House is done. But the fence?
From roofing to siding to fencing, Lowe's offers professional installation in over 40 categories, and every job is guaranteed.
We are finally moving to the backyard. That's what I'm thinking.
Visit Lowe's today. Let's build something together.
Hey, what's that?
This?
Yeah, that.
This is that.
That's this?
Yeah, that.
How is this that?
This is big news. Original Recipe has gone boneless. Introducing new KFC Original Recipe strips. Boneless all-white meat chicken, freshly prepared with those famous 11 herbs and spices. It's a whole new way to enjoy Original Recipe on the go. Get the Original Recipe strips deal for just $3.99.
This is this?
Yeah. And that's that.
Somebody shot another bad guy.
You got connections to most of these victims.
Am I a suspect here, Lieutenant?
Friday, he's gonna kill again. You know it, and I know it.
How far would you go?
Whatever happens, I'm not taking you down with me.
If you don't back him, you will regret it. To protect your own.
This ain't a chess game, partner.
Who knows? Maybe it is.
De Niro, Pacino.
You're gonna walk right into a trap. Get down! Get down!
Righteous Kill. Rated R. Starts Friday.
Come on, Warren. NFL.com's made fantasy easy.
It takes you no time.
It's fun.
It's free.
Laptop.
You guys are going down.
Play fantasy at NFL.com. It's easy, it's fun, it's free.
1 hour. Pretty sweet.
One night. And a whole lot of happy.
It's crazy talk.
The Till Death and Do Not Disturb premieres Wednesday on Fox.
7:04 to play in the opening quarter from the Superdome in New Orleans. Alongside Brian Billick, I'm Tom Brenneman. Our entire Fox crew on hand for the opening weekend of the NFL season. Garcia bobbled the snap. And a quick throw and catch made by Antonio Bryant. Well, we saw the highlight of Brett Favre a moment ago. There was so much talk in the offseason that the Buccaneers were in pursuit of trying to acquire Brett Favre, despite the fact that Garcia was coming off a marvelous year, which he led this team to the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know, you can't blame the organization for looking at an icon like Brett Favre, but you know it had to bother Jeff Garcia.
He told us as much a couple of days ago. Out of the shotgun, Garcia steps up, delivers a strike, and officially welcome back Warrick Dunn. In his 12th season out of Florida State, originally drafted in the first round in '97 by the Bucs, spent 5 years there, the last 6 in Atlanta.
Well, Jeff Garcia checked specifically to this, and the way he went to him so quickly, you know this was his primary target. He wanted to get the ball out of his hand quickly. Saw something in the New Orleans defense to indicate that he could get that done.
A gain of 11 for the Saints 38-yard line. They'll stay on the ground with Dunn, and he is smothered at the line of scrimmage.
You know, we talked about the relationship between Gruden and Garcia, and that's got to be a special relationship between the head coach and the quarterback. And it's tough when, as the head coach, you've got to look at someone like a Brett Favre and decide, you know, should we add him to the organization? It doesn't mean you don't like the guy you have. He and Jeff, I'm sure, have a good relationship. But in talking to Jeff, you could tell it did bother them.
Garcia on 9 just throws it away. Hey, the one thing the Saints have done early on in this game is put a lot of pressure on Garcia, and that was absent in a major way a season ago.
And they've done it. They've done it with their down 4 here. You can see they're not bringing any backers. They haven't blitzed yet, I don't think. They're just doing it with their down 4. And if they can get this kind of consistent pressure on Garcia, it's going to bode well for this New Orleans Saints defense.
Third down upcoming. Thrown behind the intended receiver, Joey Galloway.
You know, we talked earlier about how Joey Galloway missed virtually the entire preseason. And we've got a player down here.
I believe that is Antoine Lake. If that's 96, it is. Or is that the number 1 pick, Cedric Ellis? It's hard to see whether it's 96 or 98. It is Lake. So while they tend to him, let's step aside. We'll be back. Six-year defensive tackle out of West Virginia, Antoine Lake, was able to walk off the field with some help. And they'll continue to take a look at him down on the Saints bench.
You know, both Joey Galloway and Jeff Garcia lost a great deal of time in training camp. And I think we saw a little bit of evidence right there.
Josh Bidwell And a fair catch is made by Lance Moore at the 14. And again, very poor field position for the Saints on offense.
You can hear Garcia steps up in the pocket and is just a little bit behind Galloway. This is a function of not being together all summer and it being just a little bit behind him. John Gruden called Galloway the white tiger. Quick, dangerous, and elusive. The elusive part being he wasn't in training camp all summer and didn't take a single snap. So that little bit of timing there, I think you can attribute to the fact that neither one of them took an entire training camp together and missed a great deal of preseason. Galloway, I don't think, took a single snap.
The last 3 Saints drives from their own 9, their own 6, and now their own 14, and they're going to back them up even more than that.
You know, as a coach,
false start, number 80 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
As a coach, this drives you nuts. You just sent the team off onto the field. You haven't even run a play. You're at home. No one's saying a thing, and you get a procedure penalty. You just go nuts as a coach when that happens to you.
We have not seen Deuce McAllister yet.
Oh, boy.
And apparently there was early movement again along the New Orleans offensive front.
You know, part of this, I think, let's let the official make it official here.
False start, number 76 on the offense. Half the distance of the goal. Repeat, first down.
You know, Drew Brees at home is going to do a fair amount of checking against the Tampa Bay defense, trying to decide, am I facing that 2-deep defense they're known for? Am I going to see pressure? And the line's waiting to hear him make the adjustment. That may have been the case there.
So now the drive starts from their own 4. And that one carried out to the 9 by Pierre Thomas. Talk a little bit about, for elementary guys like me, what is the Tampa 2?
Well, and we'll get a shot of it here as we go along. But what you're going to see, the basic element of the Tampa 2 is the depth and the width of the safeties and the depth of the inside backer that really makes it more of a 3-deep. We'll try to get a good shot of it for you to come back and show you exactly what we're talking about.
And the idea being you keep the other team from beating you down the field in the passing game.
Absolutely. Limit the explosives.
Thomas still on his feet and lunges out to the 25-yard line. They'll spot it at the 26, a gain of 18, and that's the first down.
There again now, that D&D, likely the Tampa Bay defense was in that Tampa 2 that you just talked about, Tom. Great place to run the ball because that was as workable box. Only 7 guys in the box that you're working against.
They're packing that box on first down and thus nowhere to run.
And this is the part of the Tampa 2 people have to understand. Yes, they love to play the Tampa 2 we just talked about. But a big part of it is them coming down and building the proverbial 8-man box. If we can get a shot of that, you can look at the defense we're talking about. That was an obvious one. They brought the safety down. They brought Jermaine Phillips down right on the line of scrimmage. And it was a very definitive box. We'll get a chance to show you this in a little bit to show you that 8-man front.
Reggie Bush looking for somewhere to go, and he is dragged down by Jimmy Wilkerson.
What we're talking about is how many people are down in this area right here. Right here, it's easy to see with the number count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As long as they give them 7 people in that box, they're going to continue to try to run. It's when they bring one of these safeties down from that depth and try to build and add an 8th man to it, that's where you're going to have a tough time running the ball.
With the idea being that you have more defenders and they can block.
Absolutely. It's a simple number of angles there.
Pass thrown behind the intended receiver on 3rd down. And some trash talking going on the far side. The Saints have to punt it away. Time for a game break. Let's check in from Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Tom, a scary moment in New England. Keep your eye on the left knee of Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. Bernard Pollard accidentally, it appears, hit it with his helmet. Nonetheless, Brady left the game with a knee injury. His return listed as questionable. Matt Castle now in at quarterback for the Patriots, Tom.
Flags down on the punt. Dexter Jackson from the 18. And he falls down at the 23, but again, flags all the way back at the original line of scrimmage.
No, that ain't it. It's the one before this.
Illegal formation, number 51 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Right now, penalties are definitely playing a factor in this game. It's pinned down New Orleans a couple times. They've had a nice little drive there, but they had to punt, even though they had a couple nice plays, and still could likely give Tampa good field position. And now they're likely to give it to them again.
That is already the 6th penalty against the Saints in the first quarter of this season. And they've been the one of the better teams in the NFL. In fact, the 2nd fewest number of penalties since Sean Payton took over as head coach.
And particularly at home, you expect to be very sound in that category at home.
Weatherford. And again, it's Jackson from the 32. Tries to come the other way. He has electrifying speed. A flag is down. And out to the 39-yard line. You got to believe this could be a block in the back after he shifted directions.
And here it is a penalty that's going to now change just what we talked about in what could have been a fairly or a very
During the
workable
return,
field.
illegal block in the back, number 50 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
This is now going to back them up even more, and particularly when a returner changes direction like this unexpectedly, you typically get that kind of block. Clearly blocked in the back. Good call by the officials. Kind of set up by the way that Dexter kind of moved around and okey-doked his return there a little bit.
What was that term?
Okey-doke. That's a technical term.
It is?
It is now.
First down and a big run, the first of the day for Ernest Graham. Last year he took advantage of injuries to Cadillac Williams and of course Michael Pittman, and rushed for nearly 900 yards.
This is just a downhill right down your throat. I like the way Tampa is responding to the little challenges that have been thrown at them, whether it be a penalty, a big play against them. They're showing a lot of poise right now.
Garcia's had 0 time to throw today. And he has dropped for maybe a gain of 1, but you saw the flag come in. This will be holding.
Holding, number 78 on the offense. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
You know, typically when a quarterback steps up and takes off like that, and all of a sudden you find is leading you, it's kind of hard not to want to reach out and grab them. I'm not trying to make an excuse for Spears right now, but typically that can happen.
First and 20. They'll hand it off to Graham, and he's out to the 34-yard line. This is quite an opening weekend. These two teams getting together 2 years ago. The Saints, of course, won the NFC South. Lost their first 4 games last year. They won 7 of the next 10 to get to 500 before losing the final 2, and failed to make the playoffs after getting to the NFC Championship the year before. The Buccaneers last year won their 3rd division title in the last 6 years under John Gruden. And most people feel like they're the best 2 teams in the division this year. Garcia down again. Charles Grant has been all over Jeff Garcia.
Well, Ed Orgeron, the new defensive line coach. Oh, we got a flag. Evidently not. You know, Ed Orgeron, the new defensive line coach has got to be loving what he's seeing from his troops right now. They're getting
That
pressure
is the end of the first
on
quarter.
Tampa Bay with just their down 4. You couldn't dial this up better, particularly starting with the young corners they have outside.
1 quarter in the books. The Bucs and the Saints even at 7. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Football at the 26. 3rd down and forever. You love these as a play caller, don't you?
Yeah, you don't have a lot on your sheet for 3rd and 25, let me tell you.
They're going to hand it off. And Ernest Graham brings it out to the 35, so the Buccaneers will punt it away. Stop made by Jonathan Vilma. Came over from the Jets after, of course, spending his first 4 seasons there.
Gary Gibbs has got to be very pleased with what he's seeing out of the Saints defense right now. They've addressed some of the issues, pass rush, getting a team off on 3rd down, not giving up a big play. He's got to be very pleased with his defensive group.
Gary Gibbs in his 3rd year as defensive coordinator. Reggie Bush swarmed by the punt coverage team of the Buccaneers. New Orleans back on the field offensively, trying to do something, anything, since their first drive against this Bucs defense.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Facebreaker from EA Sports Freestyle. Rated T for teen, in stores now. By Miller Lite. When it's game time, reach for the original Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. By FedEx, your ultimate NFL air and ground player. And by Ford. Drive one.
That Saints defense very impressive so far. Still waiting to see that man, Deuce McAllister, for the first time. Coming all the way back from a pair of knee injuries, one of his torn ACL. Reggie Bush the carry and loses a yard. We talked about last weekend. They knew that Hurricane Gustav was on the way in these parts, so the Saints went up to Indianapolis. And they have fabulous facilities, we know, up there.
Yeah, they did. They were really appreciative that the Colts allowed them to do that. And they did gain to a degree in terms of as a training camp mentality. You're there for a specific purpose, not worried about the external things that are going on around you.
Drop it off to Shockey. That's his first catch for the New Orleans Saints. And didn't get much.
Well, they're excited about finally getting Shockey involved. Obviously, they're going to need more from him. But here you can see, we talked earlier about the 8-man box. You can see right from the get-go, right in here. Now, if you put the number count together, you've got the 7 we talked about earlier and a hard 8th man. That's the difference we're talking about when we say a 7 or an 8-man box.
3rd down and 6, a short drop, and that's Colston's first catch, and he is leveled by Sammy Piscatelli, a 2nd-year safety out of Oregon State. Well, they really like Piscatelli. He was injured last year, but played very well during the preseason. And a big hit to deny a first down there. Rutherford punting again to Dexter Jackson from the 22-yard line. Jackson, who won the job away from Michael Spurlock, brings it out to the 30 and 8-yard return. Haven't seen much smiling from Jeremy Shockey in a long time. As most know, last December during the Giants' run into the playoffs, he broke his left leg in a loss to the Redskins. And after spending his first 6 seasons with the Giants, he just picked up his first catch in his first year with the Saints. First down carry for Ernest Graham up to the 35, a pickup of 5.
You know, Ernest Graham was a real workhorse for him last year when they lost Cadillac Williams, and really made a place for himself on this team. Tough, hard-nosed runner. Now that they've got Warwick Dunn back, they give you a nice changeup in their 1-2 punch at running back.
See the 10 rushing touchdowns for Graham. In fact, he scored a rushing touchdown in 6 straight games. They'll get it again. Nope, they play fake to him. That's the tight end, Alex Smith. And that's a first down out to the 43-yard line. Let's check in again with Kurt Menefee from Los Angeles.
Well, on our pregame show, Michael Strahan said, watch out for Michael Turner. The Detroit Lions didn't listen. 66-yard touchdown run for the Falcon running back. He's got 2 touchdowns and 135 yards rushing. And they're not even at halftime yet, Tom and Brian.
For more information on that game, our game, on any game, there's only one place to visit: foxsports.com/gametracks or NFL.com. Well, the play clock winding down to 5. A timeout is called. Mr. Gruden looks none too happy about it. Both defenses very impressive through the opening quarter plus. You see New Orleans 138 yards of offense. Bear in mind 81 of those came on their opening drive.
And it feels like more, but when you got 6 penalties, that's a drive stopper.
First down give to Ernest Graham. Runs through one tackler and spins his way out close to midfield. A big collision with Roman Harper.
You know, New Orleans made a point that they felt like this was the one thing they had to do: stop the run. They know they can't give up big plays, next to last in the league last year in giving up explosives, but they knew that Tampa Bay was going to try to run the ball right at them, and so far Tampa really hasn't consistently done that.
Just do get the play off. And a strike fired right in there to Ike Hilliard. And that is a first down. Hilliard grew up here in New Orleans. He is a nephew of former Saint running back Dalton Hilliard.
This is twice now we've seen Jeff Garcia change the play at the line to go to something very, very specific. First was a little flat route by the back. Here he took the slot man, replacing the inside backer for a first down.
First solid drive of the game offensively for the Bucs. They change it up, bring Dunn back in, and he picks up maybe a yard. And now some pushing and shoving and flags flying. Tracy Porter, the rookie out of Indiana, in the middle of all that. He's starting his first NFL game today when Mike McKenzie was declared inactive. McKenzie coming all the way back from that torn right ACL the second to last week of last season.
And you got 2 young players starting for you now. That's quite a tall
order. After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 65, 15-yard penalty.
That's Jeremy Trueblood, the right tackle.
Boy, John Gruden's gonna go nuts on this. You got a little bit of rhythm. You've run the ball a couple times and start to set that tempo that they love to do with the running game. You got New Orleans on their heels a little bit with that running game, and now all of a sudden a bonehead move by Trueblood, and now you're backed up and you got a long second and a ton of yards.
Yeah, you had this drive alive at the New Orleans 46. Now you're backed up all the way to your own 40, and the crowd's back into it. Screen and read beautifully. Jonathan Vilma takes down DJ Askew. First time he's touched the football today. 3rd and long upcoming.
Yeah, you're going to see Case Vaharn come down here into the box. They're also capable of building this 8-man box we keep talking about, because Gary Gibbs knows that they've got to stop the run. And in this D&D, you could expect a draw or the screen that you saw.
3rd and 20. Galloway, his first catch, and he shoved out of bounds at the 45. So a huge penalty indeed stalls what was a pretty solid drive, by far the best today from the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they had to work like the Dickens just to get to their original point. Gary Gibbs is doing a great job today. He's getting pressure by his defensive line. He's been stuffing the run. He's been mixing it up between the zones they're used to playing and bringing Case Fajarn, the safety, down into the box. Defensively, New Orleans has to feel very good about what they're doing.
They nearly got it. Bush will let it bounce, and again, it doesn't get much better than that for this Tampa Bay punt coverage unit. Quincy Black, the first man down there, as it's down at the 1. 8:15 to go until halftime. We're still tied at 7.
This is classic special teams play. Richard Bissac has got to be very pleased with Quincy Black. You've got to constantly know where you are on the field. If his foot so much as touches that line, that comes out to the 20-yard line. Great job pushing it back. Coach is fired up because you work hours and hours on the field to make that happen, and you see it show up on the field.
And again, horrible field position for the Saints. They're going to throw it on 1st down, and it's a gain of 11, and lunge ahead for Colston, picks up closer to 14. Marcus Colston, a 252nd pick in last year's draft, grew up in Susquehanna Township, PA.
You know, this guy is a marvel. To get this guy as late in the draft as they did, big, physical, set a record for completions in the first 2 years of his career. What a phenomenal pick.
Strong running by Pierre Thomas out across the 20 to the 21. You know, you talk about Colston, and then there are people that say Reggie Bush, sophomore slump. Well, the most receptions in the first 2 seasons in the history of the NFL. Now, you can say it's a byproduct of throwing the ball a lot. That would be true. But the bottom line is Colston and Bush are 1-2 all time.
In the same 2 years. That's what blew me away. The fact that that could happen in the same 2 years is incredible.
Lots of breathing room. And Thomas again will bring it out for a couple of tough yards. And let's check in once again from Los Angeles with Kurt.
Well, the Jets lost their kicker, Mike Nugent, with an injury. But when you've got Brett Favre, weird things happen. They have to go for it on 4th down because they don't have a kicker. What does Favre do? Survives, keeps it alive, and finds Chancey Stuckey for a 22-yard score. The Jets missed the 2-point conversion that they had to go for and lead it 13-7. Tom and Brian?
Thank you very much.
You see Brett Favre doing stuff like that, and God, you love to see it. But the question is that the Brett Favre of 2005 and 6, where there's a bunch of interceptions as well, or is it the Brett Favre of 2007, where play after play, he gets them into the playoffs in the championship game?
But point blank, if you're a head coach and you had a chance to get him for this season, would you have done it?
Well, I faced Brett Favre for 8 years in Minnesota. It would be awful hard to not take Brett Favre. Clearly, the Green Bay Packers felt like they were going to get the Brett Favre of 2005 and 6, and the New York Jets said, we think we're getting Brett Favre of the 2007. You know, and this had to affect Jeff Garcia as much as you don't want it to. The career he's had, all the Brett Favre talk had to be painful.
3rd down and 3. Breeze looking around. 1st down to the 31. The catch made by Lance Moore, 3rd-year wideout out of the University of Toledo, had a breakout year last year with 33 receptions.
Great job of Drew Brees scanning the field. He starts to the left, doesn't see what he wants, comes back, finds the 2 options with Colston and Lance Moore on the outside. Nice conversion.
Well, it's been on again and off again for Brees in the Saints offense. Drew started 6 for 6 on the opening drive. Missed on his next 4. Has now completed his last 4. And on 1st down, he just lost a dangerous throw, and the ball is loose. This is a live ball, and picking it up and still on his feet and tiptoeing down the sideline and into the end zone. We're waiting to find out if this ball is a live ball, is Cato June.
I believe they're calling this incomplete.
Well, when you loft the ball like Breeze did, whoever's on the receiving end is going to take a lick.
You know, they brought pressure on Breeze, and typically when you see a veteran quarterback loft a ball like that, sometimes it turns into a huge gash because there's nothing behind it. But if they've got a zone in behind it and you can't see what's out in front of that receiver, you end up having something like this.
This was Rondé Barber coming up to put the lick on Bush.
Yeah, he clearly did not have possession, and clearly it wasn't behind the quarterback, so this is a good call by the official. Boy, this would have been lethal had Tampa Bay come up with this and turned it into a score.
You take another look at that, you're quite sure that's an incomplete pass. That last angle we had, it looked like Bush had possession and made at least 1 or 2 steps. You be the judge.
The rule says you have to have a football act, and I'm not sure he took that next step or had enough control. If they'd have called that a completion, I think you'd have seen the challenge. So I don't think he had what the referees will say, conduct a football act after the catch.
Well, John Gruden's talking it over with the officiating crew over on the far sideline. No challenge has been made yet. I'm sure John's giving his guys upstairs. I asked you, when you're the head coach and on the sideline, and you got to make the decision about whether or not you're going to challenge a call, are you relying on your coaches upstairs who have access to very fast replays right in front of them?
No, because it's useless. And I'm going to get myself fined again. But the replay system needs tweaking, in my opinion. The coaches upstairs, the view they get, how quick it comes, it varies from stadium to stadium. Half the time you're just going to have to make a call as a coach based on the circumstances. Because at the end of the day, the officials will stick their head in that little black booth and come out of it and may tell you, I didn't have a clean view of it, even though you got everybody in the booth yelling, oh, absolutely, that was a catch, that was a drop, that was a fumble, whatever it is. Yeah, I think this is a good call. I don't believe he has control of the ball. I think that's an incomplete pass.
And that's exactly the way they ruled it. Well, Rondé Barber, who they were tending to after the hit he put on with Reggie Bush, tried to stay in the game and now has to go off the field. I think he has to come out for the play, and he wanted to stay in there. Shockey to catch, and he is leveled by Barrett Ruud.
You know, obviously New Orleans come out. That's about the 3rd or 4th screen that they've run, and they're trying to slow down that rush of the Tampa Bay front 4. And a couple times they've hit him with the screen. That time Ruud did a great job of diagnosing it, pulled the trigger, and lit up Shockey on a set, or excuse me, Shockey on a short screen.
Right on defense here, 3rd and long. You coming after him?
I think you're going to go passive here. This is a long D&D to give him a man-on-man coverage.
D&D down in distance. And Breeze steps up, excellent protection down the middle, and what a play. Batting it down just as the ball arrived, made by Tenard Jackson. John Gruden told us, yeah, we had John Lynch a long time around here, and I'm not going to pair this young man to Lynch just yet, but he is something special.
Yeah, they are. This is the classic Tampa 2 defense. Here on the screen, as you can see them into their drops, the safeties are going to get depth. The middle linebacker is going to go to the middle. Very difficult to complete a ball down the field against that Tampa 2 defense.
So the Bucs make a stop on defense again. Dexter Jackson laid down there by Joan Dunbar, just activated off the practice squad before the game today. Actually signed him from the squad yesterday, and he delivers big time.
Yeah, Dexter Jackson's going to learn when to call fair catch and when not to. You're not going to last real long in this league. You leave yourself susceptible to those kind of hits.
Dunbar says, I told everybody I should have made this team from the get-go. Rookie out of Boston College. 7-7 game. 3:14 to play until halftime. Graham the catch out to the 39, a gain of 4.
Tampa Bay's got to do something to sustain drives now. First, they got to stay out of penalties. That's obvious. They've got a nice mix going now. They've thrown the ball intermediate. They've run the ball. They really haven't taken a shot deep. He's looked a couple times. It's not been there. So far, New Orleans has done a great job of not giving up what was their bugaboo last year, giving up that big vertical play down the field.
Well, that Garcia's barely had enough time to dump it off to guys out of the backfield. This rush has surprised, I think, everybody. Graham met head-on by Vilma. Vilma burst on the scene in 2004 with the Jets, was the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year. In fact, his first 2 seasons he went to the Pro Bowl. He got hurt last year.
Well, Vilma adds a level of athleticism on their linebacking core that, frankly, they've not had the last couple of years. They needed to get quicker, more athletic in their linebacking core, and Vilma does just that for them in the middle.
3rd and 6. Garcia looking around. Throws in and out of the hands of Antonio Bryant. And again, Garcia just no time to stay in that pocket and find a receiver.
And that's a good thing, except with Jeff Garcia, this is where he tends to make all of his plays. This scares you when you see him running around like this. He's just got really no place to go with it. As he said, this is kind of controlled chaos for him, and sometimes it looks like that, chaos.
Of course, this is game 1 of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. That one into the end zone, and the Saints will get it out at the 20. Of course, this is unquestionably one of the more interesting games in the NFL to kick off the season here in New Orleans. And coming up next, game 2, most of you will see another very intriguing matchup. The Dallas Cowboys go to Cleveland. Some will see the Panthers and Chargers. Others the Cardinals and 49ers. You had to take teams into Cleveland. That's not an easy place to go win.
Well, the Cowboys may be the most talented team in the NFC, but they're going to have to go in and face that dog pound. And if you haven't done that a lot, it's a different experience. Plus, Cleveland's kind of the vote pick for a lot of people. This is going to be a good test for that Cleveland defense to see that talented Dallas offense.
Are you buying that Cleveland's a bona fide Super Bowl contender?
I'm going to wait and see.
Catch made by Moore, close to a first down. Meanwhile, for the Dallas Cowboys, coach, your impression of them? I mean, they won 13 games last season, lost only 3 times.
Well, for Dallas, it's all about what they do in the playoffs. Here, it's great protection for Drew Brees. Again, I'm not sure that Tampa's not going to have to do a little bit more with their pressure package. They've brought the backers a couple times and gotten home. Their 4-man front's not getting there.
Across the 30 to the 32-yard line is Reggie Bush, and that's good enough for a first down.
You know, Reggie Bush is, again, one of those guys. There's a lot of debate now. Should they have taken Mario Williams? If you remember, the debate was on the other side. Highly criticized Houston was for taking Mario Williams. I think Reggie Bush is still going to be a big impact player, but he's got to work in tandem with another back.
Bush has been the primary back here today, and he was tripped up. And again, it is Tenard Jackson. Jackson is all over the field. As John Gruden told us during the week, he suspected he might be.
Well, Tenard Jackson and Jermaine Phillips are that 2 young secondary guys, safeties that we talked about, maybe one of the best in the National Football League.
We've reached a 2-minute warning.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Burger King. Have it your way.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have scores and highlights from around the league. And the Fox Sports Ticker will keep you updated with up-to-the-second statistics. This opening weekend around the NFL, 3rd down, Breeze. The catch is made by Shockey, and he's wrapped up 2 yards shy of the first down.
They've shifted into their no-huddle mode. They're going to try to convert this on third down, and very much thinking they have lots of time to get a touchdown here.
Saints have 2 timeouts remaining. They're coming after Breeze. And good coverage by Jackson on Colston.
See, now that's the tough thing. You could make the case you huddle up, you get the third down, then kick into the 2-minute mode. By going into no huddle, you stop the clock with an incompletion. You've now given Tampa Bay, unless they really get pinned with the punt, a chance to now kick in with 1:36 left to get into their 2-minute mode with a very dangerous quarterback like Jeff Garcia.
Both teams have pretty much been completely shut down after that opening drive spanning 81 yards and a touchdown for New Orleans. That one into the end zone. So the Saints, with 1:01 to play until halftime, will start this drive from their own 20. Well, Brian Billick, when's the last time you started a football season where you won a coach at any level?
Oh, gosh. It's been 38 years since I've not been on a sideline during the season.
Oh, you got a half under your belt. Are you missing it?
Well, you know what?
We don't want you to miss it.
I got a heck of a view. I got TV monitors in front of me. I got people bringing me something to drink. This life's pretty good. I kind of like this.
Well, we're thrilled to have you with us.
I am thrilled
and
to be
looking
here.
forward
Thank
to
you.
a great season.
Appreciate you taking care of the rookie here.
Please. I'm just going to ride your coattails for a while, if you don't mind. Garcia again flushed out of the pocket, throws, it's caught, but the clock will continue to run. Joey Galloway, who missed all the preseason with an injured groin, and now he looks like he's hurt either a finger, a hand, or a wrist.
This is where Garcia's lethal. His ability to move around the pocket. Coming away with 3 points here would be huge for Tampa Bay.
1 minute remains until halftime. Garcia across the middle to Antonio Bryant. All the way down to the Saints' 41-yard line. The clock continues to roll. The Buccaneers have 2 timeouts left in the half.
Well, that changed the price of poker here now. They can be thinking touchdown. They're getting closer, about 10 yards from field goal range, but they can take a couple end zone shots if they want.
Catch made by Hilliard down to the 32-yard line, and they will call a timeout. They have 1 more left. 29 seconds remain in the second quarter.
You're right on the edge of that field goal position now. So obviously they'd like to get it in as close as they can, but with 29 seconds left and obviously 1 timeout left, you can get a first down here, maybe kill the clock, or and hold that timeout for when you really need it for the field goal. You could take an end zone shot here, and then it's a second and short, therefore a very comfortable third down. So you got a lot on your play sheet right now, sitting here on a 2nd 3 or so, a 2nd 2, given that you, at worst, you should end up with a 3rd 2.
What would you do right here?
Let me see what works, and I'll tell you what I would have called. That's one of the nice things about being in the booth.
We'll call it 2nd and 2 officially. Catch is made by Hilliard down to the 25-yard line, but the clock again continuing to tick.
They got to think about killing the ball here.
That's what Garcia is going to do once everybody's set, and he'll spike it.
See, now with 14 seconds, you got a timeout in your back pocket. It's 2nd down. You can do whatever you want with this ball. You got to be smart with it. You've got just the guy to do that in Jeff Garcia. But you can take any kind of shot you want. Doesn't necessarily have to be to the end zone. You can throw the ball underneath with 14 seconds left and a timeout in your back pocket. Without that timeout, you pretty much have to take an end zone shot and try to kick the field goal, or maybe slip a run in there and use your timeout for the field goal. But right now, you got a lot of options available to you with the timeout.
Matt Bryant ready to go. He's the place kicker. They're going to hand it off. And spinning his way inside the 20.
They'll bring this thing down under 5 seconds probably. Nope, they went ahead and called timeout.
Stopping the clock at 8 seconds. Now for Matt Bryant, he has hit on nearly 83% of his field goals since coming to Tampa Bay. Having said all that, he had a miserable preseason. He missed on 5 out of 12 attempts, 3 of those inside the 40. And earlier in the week leading up to this opening game, they worked out a number of kickers on Monday.
Well, if he misses this one with what Tampa Bay's done to put them in position to go up 10-7, you may have another cast 1,000 showing up on Monday to try out for this team.
A 37-yard field goal try. And when a season starts, he's money. He hammers it right down the middle. So for the first time today, the Buccaneers have a lead, 10-7.
Well, you can cancel those flights. He gets to hold on to his job for another week. But this was, you couldn't script this better for Tampa Bay. To stop New Orleans the way they did, get the ball back deep in their own territory, get the big play, be able to get yourself down into scoring position, all underneath 2 minutes. New Orleans had the ball at the 2-minute mark, and for Tampa Bay to now get that and drive that down, great defense, great implementation of the offense of Jeff Garcia, and you finish off with special teams. All three phases executed brilliantly in the last 2 minutes of a game, or of a half, excuse me.
Again, coming up on the Visa halftime report, all the guys will have all the scores and highlights. And as always, our Fox Sports ticker will let all you out there know what's going on in your fantasy leagues. If you're each coach right now, let's start with Sean Payton. How does he feel about things here in the first half?
Well, the biggest thing he's disappointed about is the penalties. He's seen some rhythm by the offense, and it seems like penalties just killed him. He's got to feel great about his defense, but this last sequence where Tampa went up, that's one that you got to kind of snap your guys into focus, because this game's in jeopardy.
That one bouncing and covered up by the backup tight end Mark Campbell, and that will be where they spotted it, the 32-yard line. He's wondering how in the world that happened. And no clock ticked off.
Well, the only thing I can imagine is that the players, when they recovered the ball, were in an indefensible position, and therefore they're saying the play was dead. I'm not sure that 3 seconds shouldn't have run off the clock. Evidently, they're going to have to take one more snap.
And Drew Brees apparently will take a knee. So after the Saints went 81 yards on their opening drive, nothing thereafter against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. 10 unanswered from the Bucs. The Visa halftime report coming up after these messages. Welcome back to the Superdome in New Orleans. 10-7 Tampa Bay in front of the Saints in this NFC South clash. Tom Brenneman alongside Brian Billick, and the sort of game in many ways we expected. Are you surprised how well the Saints have played defensively?
Well, I don't know, surprise. They put a lot of assets into building that defense up, and we're seeing it. The most impressive thing is the rush they're getting with just their down four. They haven't had to bring linebackers. They haven't had to blitz a safety like we saw a little bit in the preseason. They're getting a solid rush with their down four linemen. They've got to be thrilled about that.
Now, you talked about an X factor perhaps in this game, the play of Jeff Garcia. We talked about it earlier, Coach. You know, his numbers may not be great, but his team's winning.
Well, and you saw it in that last drive. That was a vintage veteran quarterback drive. Not a lot of big plays down the field until we saw that 2-minute drive that got them in scoring position.
In the opening half, Garcia hitting on 11 of 16 for 102 yards, was under heavy pressure.
Yeah, New Orleans has got to be thrilled to death with the pressure they're putting on Garcia with just their down four linemen.
Well, look at some of the numbers, and again, bear in mind, almost all of the Saints' offensive numbers were on their first drive spanning 81 yards. Almost all of the Buccaneers' offensive numbers occurred on that last drive, which led to them getting the field goal to take the lead. So the Buccaneers will take the football to begin on, and is short of the 20. Joining us as part of our broadcast.
As far as those penalties in the first half for Coach Payton, he had no comment. Tom, Coach, back to you.
Well, Eric, it's great to have you with us here. To hundreds of civilians in this area forced to leave their homes again during off. In fact, he and his family were over at the
holding number 78 on the offense. 10-yard penalty.
Just to finish that thought, actually, but Tom Benson just bought the local Fox affiliate on television here in the area, owns a TV station where Eric works, and that's where he set up shop.
Well, if the boss owns it, you can pretty much sleep anywhere you want to, I guess. Another penalty backing the team up. Boy, at some point, this is going to have a big impact on the game.
Hand off to Warwick Dunn. Cuts it back to the inside, and a pretty nice pickup for Dunn out to the 23-yard line. Warwick Dunn.
This was classic Warwick Dunn run. Start one way, cut back, sidestep. This is just the kind of run they need out of Warwick Dunn in this situation.
Talked to Dunn at length about coming back to his homeland, home state of Louisiana, and all that his family and friends have been through in recent years. That ball dropped by Antonio Bryant, and a flag came in along the sideline.
Pass interference, number 89 on the offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Looks like Anthony Bryant probably pushed off to get that last little bit of separation. This is a guy that they think they can get a lot out of. Boy, I don't know. That's two people pushing and shoving on one another. They both have a right to that spot. I'm not quite sure how you determine one is pushing versus the other. In any case, it's put Tampa Bay long down in distance here.
Second down and 27 from their own 13. Garcia taken down once again, this time by big Kendrick Clancy in his nice season out of Mississippi.
They get inside and outside pressure on this, and boy, I tell you what, Sean Payton and Gary Gibbs, the defensive coordinator, have got to love what they're seeing out of this down 4 group that they've got playing right now, because they are getting pressure. That time they got it by Kendrick Clancy, who normally is not known for his pass rush.
Tampa Bay 0 for 5 on third down so far. Catch made by Galloway, but wrapping him up is Randall Gay. Came over as a free agent from New England, won a couple of Super Bowl titles there.
Now this is where New Orleans, like Tampa did in the first half, they've got a good solid 3 and out. They should get pretty good field position here. This is where New Orleans has got to show they've got the maturity to take advantage of an emotional turn of events.
That one punted out of bounds. We'll see where they spot it. That's all the way at the Tampa Bay 48-yard line, just a 30-yard punt. So Gay denying big yardage from Galloway. The Saints get it when we return.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. By Windows. By DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in HD. And by Cadillac. Introducing the 2009 Cadillac Escalade Hybrid.
You see on the uniforms, we've seen on the playing field the initials GU 63. Hall of Fame offensive tackle from the Oakland Raiders. Gene Upshaw, in his second career, the head of the NFL Players Union, and sadly passed away just recently. And certainly our thoughts and prayers are with his family and so many friends.
You know, Gene Upshaw in a very difficult position. His loyalty to the league, the history of the league, obviously his obligation to the players. This league, how it works and functions, is going to have Gene Upshaw's fingerprints all over it for a long time to come.
Second and 8. We have still not seen Deuce McAllister in the game today. Carrying to the 46-yard line is Reggie Bush. McAllister coming all the way back from a pair of knee surgeries, including a week 3 torn ACL on a Monday night last season against Tennessee. He is the Saints' all-time leading rusher. Played in a couple of preseason games, but slowly but surely getting very close to being all the way back.
And he's going to be a big part of whatever success this team has this year.
Rondé Barber wraps up Breeze, but he's able to connect close to a first down. Jeremy Shockey going at it back and forth with Jermaine Phillips. It is a first down.
Great throw by Drew Brees under pressure. They bring the heat that got home and tackled them early in the first quarter. This is what Jeremy Shockey was brought in to do, make a clutch catch at a tough time. This is a big series for New Orleans. That was a big third down conversion.
Shockey 371 career receptions as a New York Giant. Breeze dumps it off to Bush, and Brooks had him wrapped up, and Bush escaped for a couple of extra yards. During the offseason for a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick, Shockey sent from the Giants to the Saints. Played in Pro Bowl, 4 Pro Bowls with the Giants. A very intense, hard-working player.
And that hard-working part is the point that I like the best. No matter who you talk to, like him, don't like him, they all talk about his passion and his work ethic.
Quick slant and an incomplete pass caught by Colston, and he took a lick again from Rondé Barber. Boy, Barber here in his 12th season out of Virginia, he'll still put a hat on you.
Yeah, very physical player, very savvy player, can read what's going on here. They just want what's called a real one-step slant to Colston, big target, and he reads it quickly, comes up and makes the tackle. Another long third down for New Orleans. You know, Tampa Bay let him get off the hook last third down. Now they got to stop him on this third and long.
They're 3 for 8 so far on third down. And the ball is snapped by Breeze, and having to cover it up all the way back at their own 45-yard line is Pierre Thomas. What happened there?
Boy, clearly a miscue. Breeze had to point out a protection concern. He was either talking to the line or the running back about who he wanted them to pick up, who the mic was, and the center misunderstood being in the gun. Once he had moved his foot right there, that signaled the snap. The center thought it was time to snap. He wasn't listening to what Drew Brees was doing. Somehow the miscue, that's lethal.
Bear in mind, that's a new center now. Jeff Fain, the starting center for the Buccaneers, was the starting center for Drew Brees the last 2 seasons in New Orleans.
And that's not to say Jeff Fain, had he been there, they wouldn't have made the same call. But they have a lot of faith in Jonathan Goodwin. Boy, something was a miss there and took them out of scoring opportunity.
Tampa Bay with the football, 9:55 to play in the third quarter. And the Buccaneers with a 10-7 lead start this drive at their own 22. They're coming after Garcia. Vilma just a step late. Dropped off to Askew, and he picks up close to 2.
You're really beginning to see New Orleans begin to step up its pressure packages. They've got good pressure by its down 4. They brought the inside backers, much like Tampa Bay did in the first quarter. They're bringing the linebackers around on a stunt, and they're changing up their pressure package. This is a good job by defensive coordinator Gary Gibbs.
Called a gain of 3, 2nd and 7 for Garcia and the Bucs. And Garcia, again, just another dink and dunk to Graham, but a decent pickup of close to 5. It'll bring 3rd and 2.
You know, Tampa Bay is accused of dropping the ball off too much, dinking and dunking. Although last year they really had a fair amount of explosives. I think they had 55 pass plays of 20 yards or more. So they are more explosive than they're getting credit for. They just haven't, other than at the end of the half, haven't had that big play yet today.
Better protection this time, and Garcia just missed an open receiver. Davis thrown a little bit behind him, perhaps a catchable ball. Alex Smith, I beg your pardon.
Well, we've seen that twice now on third downs, and this could be a function of Jeff missing so much of the preseason where the balls just don't quite have that accuracy you need in that type of pass. That's twice now on third downs that the ball's been just a little bit behind.
Josh Bidwell punting to Reggie Bush from the 34. We can't say enough about the special team coverage units from the Buccaneers today. They have been all over Bush. Breeze and company back at it when we return. .8:24 to play in a third quarter. And apparently we're going to punt it again.
I'm not quite sure what that was. Obviously there was some type of penalty. Possibly the ball was snapped before the official was ready. I'm in the dark right now about what.
Well, all of us are, because we were never told by the officials what the call was. So Bush this time, or I beg your pardon, it's Moore backed up to his 20. And Black down there to trip him up. He'll spot it at the 29-yard line. So this time we'll step out. First down New Orleans in a moment.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevy, an American Revolution.
Let's keep an eye on the thumb of Marcus Colston. That last pass attempt his way when he took the hit from Rondé Barber. He immediately winced in pain, and they had to tape it up on a sideline. And this is Reggie Bush across midfield to the 45, and perhaps a face mask flag coming in on the tackle. A gain of 26 for Bush.
You know, when you look at Reggie Bush's numbers last year, let's see what the penalty is. Should be a face mask.
Personal foul, face mask, number 25 on the offense, 15-yard penalty.
So obviously, as Reggie was sticking his hand up there, nice cutback by Reggie Bush. Stretch, overrun by the defense, cut back. Let's see, obviously near the end as he reached up, he must have gotten his hand into the grill of Philip Buchanan to bring about the penalty. You know, one of the things about Reggie Bush that I find interesting when you look at what he's done, this is an explosive guy. We've talked about the balance and the run and the pass, but his longest game from scrimmage last year was 22 yards.
So a face mask goes against Reggie Bush. Kim Kardashian, I guess, smitten with Reggie Bush.
Good one to be smitten with you.
And that is Shockey to the 35. So they pick all that yardage right back up. That's 26 and then some.
Looks like they just go vertical down to the slot with Shockey, pull up on the outside receiver to pull underneath coverage. Great execution by Drew Brees, and Jeremy Shockey so far seem to be on the target, even though they didn't have a lot of preseason time together.
He is their leading receiver so far today. 5 catches, 44 yards. Right back at it for Bush. Great penetration made by the 14th-year lineman from Florida, Kevin Carter. 2-time Pro Bowler, brought in during the offseason, had help from Brooks.
You know, Brooks is just, he amazes me. This guy has not missed a start since 1995. And the physical play that he brings to the table every game, he's a true warrior. One of those guys that has truly defined the position in the National Football League.
Only one linebacker has played in more Pro Bowls than Derek Brooks, and that's Junior Seau. And just as we talk about him, he comes right up to meet Bush and makes yet another tackle. 10 times he's been to the Pro Bowl. Lawrence Taylor went to 10. Mike Singletary went to 10. Derek Brooks to 10.
Well, as I said earlier, you know, there's a lot of great players. You can go to a lot of Pro Bowls. You can go to the Hall of Fame. But when you define a position, and particularly in this Tampa 2 defense and the style of play, he plays both strong and weak now. He was primarily weak side linebacker when he started. The admiration I have for this guy from a coach's perspective is unlimited.
Breeze. Again, Shockey. Close to a first down, depending on a spot. It is a first down.
They put they bring an extra guy down off this edge. Drew Brees, seeing that it's pressure, does a great job recognizing where the hole in the defense is going to be, coming backside.
Just one more piece in all this weaponry that Drew Brees has to work with. Colston is one of those weapons.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. You see Jeremy Shockey come out and play make a play or two. Defensive coordinators have got to decide, okay, I got to take Shockey away from them. That's going to leave plays open for a guy like Colston, Marcus Colston, who's really one of the dynamic young receivers in this league. He's the happiest guy in New Orleans that Jeremy Shockey's now on this football team.
Second down and 5. Saints down 3 with under 5 to play in the third quarter. Pierre Thomas for a first down to the 11.
We're down in that territory now inside the 12-yard line where, again, the size of Marcus Colston is huge. When you add a Jeremy Shockey, this really stretches a defense. Tampa Bay is going to have to pick its poison here because they have two very big physical receivers that can go up for the ball.
In the red zone last season, this team was unrivaled, first in the NFL in touchdown percentage. And you want numbers from a quarterback in the red zone, we'll give them to you on Breeze in a minute. Flushed out, looking around, and just throws it away. Drew Brees last year in the red zone. A passer rating, an NFL best passer rating of 116.8. Completed 71% of his passes in the red zone, but far more importantly than those numbers, 23 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks.
And you just saw it. He bought some time, surveyed the field down, looked down the field to see what was there. Nothing there. Intelligently threw the ball away. Protected his team. That's an excellent non-play.
He is sacked in the red zone, however, this time. Greg White, who signed last year out of the Arena League and wound up leading Tampa Bay in sacks with 8 of them.
Well, they brought Greg White in to balance Gaines Adams. Kevin Carter, obviously on the backside of his career after 14 years. They're trying to find a spot for Greg White to give that balance to Gaines Adams to bring pressure off the edge.
3rd and 16. They need to get to the 3-yard line to convert. Pump fake one way to Bush the other. What an open field tackle made by Albert Mack, the rookie who made such a tremendous impression during the preseason. He's a great story, an undrafted rookie out of Troy, and that's his first big play in the NFL.
Well, this is definitely a win for the Tampa Bay defense. New Orleans did a nice job converting on 3rd down, moving the ball down the field. Once they get in that scoring position, you just ran off the stats of how good this offense is in the red zone. To hold them to 3 in this situation has got to be a win for Tampa, notwithstanding the drive that put them there by New Orleans.
Timeout, Tampa Bay. That is the first charge timeout of the half.
Well, Tampa Bay had to spend a timeout because they had a player that wasn't going to get off the field in time.
Yeah, and that, fortunately, they avoided it with the timeout.
A game-tying field goal try coming up by Martin Gramatica from 34 yards. If you're each coach, how do you feel about what just happened?
Well, if you're John Gruden, it's a sigh of relief because your defense held and didn't give up 7. Sean Payton's thrilled to death to have a score. He's high-fiving everybody, but you know he's frustrated. Gosh, we needed a touchdown here.
Gramatica came on for the final 3 weeks of last season to kick for the Saints. This is his first try this year, and he still hasn't missed. Hit on 5 of 5 last year, and he's just tied it up with 2:49 to play in the third from the Superdome. A sellout crowd at the Superdome in New Orleans. And I got to tell you, we were told some of the officials around here felt like if they could get 55 out of a potential 68,000, they'd be thrilled. I'm not sure there's 1,000 empty seats in this building.
It's great to see great energy in the building. They're thrilled to be back.
Thrilled to be back in their city and many in their homes. And Dexter Jackson, who of course donned the cover of Sports Illustrated last year after his big day in Appalachian State, shocking win at Michigan. Coming up, Romo, T.O. and the Cowboys against Derek Anderson and the Browns at the Dog Pound in Cleveland.
You know, if the Cleveland Browns want to lay claim to being a team to watch, they got a great opportunity to do it right here in front of the whole country, see if they can keep up with arguably the best personnel in all the NFC.
That'll be Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Pam Oliver. From Cleveland, and this is Ernest Graham. Shoving away would-be tacklers all the way to the 20-yard line. A gain of 45 for the fifth-year back out of Florida.
Graham just gets this thing to the outside. They've got a nice edge sealed by the tight end and the tackle. And then Ernest Graham just stiffs arm and runs his way, running people over down the field. Great explosive play. It's a real gift from above when you can get an explosive run like this and put you down in scoring position.
Of course, Ernest Graham knows all about those. 2003, great career at the University of Florida. As Warwick Dunn cuts it back to the inside, was undrafted, had a big party, everybody sitting around waiting for his name on the draft board. It never happened. Tampa Bay brought him into training camp. He injured his shoulder. 2 games into the preseason, was cut. A year later, he and his wife and their daughter had $5,000 to their name, living in a rundown hotel room in Tampa. They had no car, no cell phone. He could afford a gym membership and daycare for his little girl. Hard work paid off, signed a year later, and just signed a 3-year contract for almost $10 million. It's an amazing journey for Ernest Graham.
God bless America. You know, the hard work, and they love this guy. You talk to the coaches, they recognize what he's overcome in his life, and he's seizing the moment. He's done a heck of a job of him here. He really bailed him out last year and earned that spot as the lead runner for him right now.
They believe they're going to get Cadillac Williams back after the first 6 weeks when he can return.
That'll be quite a tandem when they come back together, and that'll allow them to ease Cadillac Williams back into it rather than push him to duty early.
See the Bucs trying to convert on 3rd down for the first time, and they want to talk it over. Spending their second time out of this first half.
You know, if I'm John Gruden, you're going to obviously do everything you can to convert this. It's going to be a good, tight game, so obviously you'll take the 3. But if you can convert this 3rd down, I know John Gruden, he would love to run this ball in for a score. Beyond the obvious of getting the touchdown, this has been the kind of series that John Gruden wants. Good, physical, big run, set the tempo for the remaining part of the game with the Saints, maybe demoralize them a little bit with a good physical scoring series.
We've just received word that Derek Brooks has tweaked a hamstring, and his return questionable for the Buccaneers. 3rd down and 5 in a 10-10 game at the Saints 15. Excellent protection and excellent coverage. That's the rookie out of Indiana, Tracy Porter.
Great job by Porter. Maintains position, forces him on his upfield shoulder, fights him off, knows he's got the back of the end zone as an extra defender, plays the ball beautifully and knocks the ball down. This is a great play by the rookie.
Field goal try of 33 coming up for Bryant, who today has already hit from 37. Good snap, good hold, good kick. So Bryant, you were talking about they had the buses warmed up, the planes warmed up to get him out of town earlier in the week, and he's 2 for 2 today.
I tell you, a kicker's life is a tough one, and these supposed chip shots that everybody has, until you have to stand back there and do that, it's not a chip shot. We used to do that in practice. It would end every Friday, and have a little money on the side, and would bring one of the regular players up to try to kick, and they could kick it from the 10, the 20. It's amazing how often you won't make that. So I did it to give the guys an appreciation. You know what looks like a chip shot to you when you actually have to do it. This guy gets paid to do his job as well, and it's a tough job.
Well, if you're just joining us, a 13-10 count. New Orleans went down the field on their opening drive, spanning 81 yards on a 39-yard touchdown pass to David Patton from Drew Brees, but then under heavy pressure, Brees intercepted by Phillip Buchanan, who returned it 26 yards for a touchdown. And it's been field goals ever since. 2 by Bryant of Tampa Bay, 1 by Gramatica of New Orleans here in the third quarter, and that little one is hoping the Saints can do a little bit more than they've done on offense. Pierre Thomas. Gang tackled at the 13-yard line. Man, have those special teams been impressive today for the Buccaneers.
They have. New Orleans, one of Sean Payton's priorities was to get more out of the return game. You see that in the punt returns, and that he's willing to commit an asset like Reggie Bush to the return game, because he knows that's going to be a big difference for his team. So far, neither team has really done much damage with their special teams with regards to return. Both are playing very good coverage teams.
You've been watching almost 3 full quarters now. If you're that man, Sean Payton, what has worked for you offensively that you can go back to now?
Well, you got Jeremy Shockey cranked up. You got Marcus Colston going. You got a free shot here.
And down the sideline. Caught by Henderson, and he is into the end zone.
Offside, the defense, penalty is declined, resulting play is a touchdown.
The first catch of the day for Devery Henderson is an 84-yard touchdown.
We talked about the weapons that this offense has. You've seen it with Marcus Colston. You saw it with Jeremy Shockey. Now Devery Henderson stepping in just at the right time. This is what this offense is all about, taking control of a game.
Henderson blazing speed. And he's a native of Louisiana, out of Opelousas. Played for the LSU Bengal Tigers collegiately. Nobody's going to catch him if he gets behind you.
It looked like this was designed from the get-go to go vertical, but when Tampa Bay jumped off sides, you knew Brees knew he had a freebie. He could throw anything up he wanted, and he was going to get it back. So why not take the vertical shot? Devery Henderson did a great job of keeping the defender on his hip and then just pulling away at the last little bit to pull the ball in. Great execution on the throw. Great job on the route and the catch.
Career long touchdown reception for Henderson. And Drew Brees celebrates the Saints taking the lead 17-13. Rondé Barber losing his footing, it looked like.
Tampa Bay team traditionally known not to give up a lot of big plays defensively. Last year in explosions, giving up explosions, they were second best in the National Football League, and it was an explosive play that has turned the game around.
Almost an entire quarter to go. Dexter Jackson. Jackson looks like he's had a hard time staying on his feet in this game today. Don't know if it's playing on a different surface. Collegiately, you play on far more grass fields. You do in the NFL as well, but he just looks like he's had a hard time. In fact, he's been taken down a couple of times in the punt return game.
You know, a lot of times you have with young return guys like that, they just haven't matured yet. You're talking about a 5'9", 182-pound rookie. Got great speed, but that physical maturity to step out of something like that, that's going to have to come with age.
Can't escape the tackle made by Charles Grant. Grant's had an outstanding game.
That
We
is the end of the third quarter.
played 3. The Saints lead 17-13. Yes, they're letting it hang out a little bit in the Big Easy after a rough week. Garcia starts the fourth quarter, looking for Galloway, and again it's Randall Gay to break it up.
Great play by Randall Gay. He has been in this league long enough, primarily as a nickel guy up in New England. But there again, with the great speed of Joey Galloway, keeps him in just the perfect position, maintains contact, times his jump over the top so as not to interfere. You can put your hand on a receiver as long as you don't alter his path, you're fine.
3rd and 9. That's the first converted 3rd down of the game for Tampa Bay on offense. And it's Galloway to the 41.
Well, and that's a little bit of a function of the last play. They go vertical with it. They jump over the top. Galloway stretches the ball down. Looks like he's trying to make a double move and then snaps it off at the first down depth. I don't know that Buchanan didn't give him just a little bit more room than he needed to.
Joey Galloway in his 14th season out of The Ohio State University. Hilliard escapes one tackle, crosses midfield, is wrapped up at the New Orleans 47 by Roman Harper.
I misspoke. That was actually Aaron Glenn that got beat underneath by Joey Galloway. They're rotating the corners pretty good here for New Orleans. This is a big series for their defense. This is one, if they can slow them down here and keep them from scoring, this would be a big step for the New Orleans defense.
All of a sudden, what was a stalemate on defense, getting more wide open. An eye down the sideline for Antonio Bryant. Great coverage back there.
Antonio Bryant got caught making a move too late inside. Jeff Garcia had already thrown the ball. There again, kind of a function of the fact that, like Joey Galloway, Antonio Bryant missed a lot of time with Jeff Garcia during training camp, during the preseason. So I think we're seeing a little bit of the effects of the timing of the amount of time that these guys missed working with one another.
Looks like some kind of physical problem for Randall Gay. That's why Aaron Glenn, number 31, is in the game. They're coming after Garcia. He turns it loose to Hilliard, who has a first down inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. So all of a sudden, Hilliard, who with a catch today has over 500 career receptions, has come back home and made a couple of big catches on this drive.
Well, this is vintage Jeff Garcia. They're bringing pressure now, brought a few more people. Get the ball out of your hand quickly and give your playmakers a chance to make a play down the field.
Hilliard giving it to Shockey and the Saints a little bit. Chris Hilliard played with the Giants. There's a run by Warwick Dunn inside the 25 down to the 24. They'll move the chains again. Coach, people at home might be saying, how in the world do these teams play defense and play offense for 3 quarters the way they played, and now all of a sudden in the last 10 minutes of this game they're moving the ball up and down the field?
Well, they're finding the matchups they want. The thing I'm most impressed with, Tampa Bay has really responded emotionally to every adversity that they've had. The long drive, the big play for a touchdown. They now come back and put an offensive series together.
Graham still tiptoes along the sideline, and they're going to spot that ball close to the 5-yard line.
Now Jeff Garcia came back and made this exact same check in the first half. Saw something about the defense that said he wanted to escape that back out into the flat. Did the same check, came right back to Graham, and got a nice big play out of it. Again, this is the veteran play of Jeff Garcia, orchestrating the offense the way he wants it. It's got them first and goal on the 5-yard line.
We talked about all the rushing yards for Graham last season. Bear in mind, he was their 3rd leading receiver with 49 receptions. 9th play of the drive, thrown away by Garcia. Chased by Bobby McCray. First time we've called McCray's name today. They brought him in to try and create more pressure on the quarterback, something they direly lacked a season ago.
And we've seen that pressure come to bear. There's another play by Jeff Garcia, much like we saw Drew Brees in this same position. Throw the ball away. Don't turn the ball over in the red zone. Don't take points off the board.
2nd and goal from the 5. Graham plows forward inside the 2. 3rd and goal. Decision time for the play caller. That's the head coach, John Gruden. You did the same thing.
Yeah, I think in this situation, he's looking at his chart right now, and it's less about what you want to do. It's more about what do you think the Saints are going to do in this situation. Do they pressure? Do they go passive? Are they vulnerable to the run? He's got a good beat on what the Saints do in this situation, and we'll see what he's got dialed up for. They look configured right now to maybe do a quick sprint to the right, a vintage West Coast play.
You called it, and that's a touchdown.
Anytime you see that back in an offset position, down on the 2 or 3 yard line, that's vintage Bill Walsh West Coast offense. Quick sprint to the right, get a quick out by the slot man, and put the outside receiver to the back of the end zone. You have to offset the back weak to get the hands down of the end man on the line of scrimmage, so you have a clean alley to throw the ball.
Mike Hilliard with a touchdown reception at 3 big catches on that drive. The point after is good, so Garcia taking Tampa Bay straight down the field after the 84-yard touchdown to Henderson gets Tampa Bay into the end zone for a 3-point lead. John Gruden says, all right.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Toyota, moving forward. By Lowe's, for all your home improvement needs, Lowe's. Let's build something together. By BlackBerry. And by Budweiser American Ale. Sip, savor, repeat.
So starting with, you want to create an open lane to throw. (20-17) with 10:38 to play from the Superdome in New Orleans. Pierre Thomas from the goal line, and he's shy of the 20.
What you can see from this angle, is the running back cutting down the defensive end. It gives a very clean, straight throw. What has to be a flat throw for Jeff Garcia to the outside.
Both offenses, both quarterbacks beginning to warm up a bit. See Garcia, 19 of 30, 170 yards. 267 for Breeze. That interception was a big one. That was returned for a touchdown in the first quarter by Phillip Buchanan of Tampa Bay. So with under 10.5 to play from the Superdome in New Orleans, the Buccaneers locking up with their NFC South rivals New Orleans, a 20-17 lead.
And that's exactly what you've got. You've seen the big plays by New Orleans. You've seen the methodical drive and the good defense by Tampa Bay. At the end of the day, through it all, it's a 3-point ball game.
2nd and 6. Dropped off by Breeze to Reggie Bush. Got a block and is into Tampa Bay territory at the 47. Boy, Gaines Adams is screaming at an official, claiming he was held, and he certainly appeared to have a point.
Well, we'll have to see if we can get a shot at it on the backside. He did all of a sudden go down over the top of the tackle. Here we see coming in from the left side, Gaines Adams, number 90, over here on the left side. Yeah, it did look a little like a pull down. Mike Pereira is probably going to get that one on a tape tomorrow. Great play by Reggie Bush. We talked about it earlier. His longest catch of the season last year was 25 yards. So when you think of Reggie Bush, you don't think of his longest gain as being 22 yards last year, his longest reception being 25 yards. You think of him being much more explosive. If he can expand on that, that's just one more of those weapons. They've got so many here in New Orleans for Drew Brees to go to.
Saints spend a timeout. We will do the same. Derek Brooks, a tweaked hamstring. His return questionable. He's cheering on his teammates from the sidelines right now. Matt McCoy, number 50, a fourth-year linebacker out of San Diego State, has replaced Brooks. They throw it to the side of the field where Brooks would have been, to Reggie Bush.
You know, this is the last thing Tampa wants to do, is have to face this New Orleans offense in the fourth quarter, up by 3 without Derek Brooks. Beyond the physical abilities, Derek kind of holds this thing together. They may be a little limited with some of the pressure packages, some of the coverage packages they may want to execute. You got to call your game, but by the same token, you have to recognize who's on the field.
Playing today in his 209th consecutive game, his 193rd consecutive start as Brooks. Bush nowhere to run this time, and that was McCoy, his replacement, Brooks's replacement, up there to make the stop. I mean, you think about Brooks starting today, his 193rd consecutive game, of course the longest streak in the league. The 254th consecutive game started by Brett Favre today. Astonishing, especially at those positions.
Yeah, particularly for a defender. This would be classic Jeremy Shockey down in distance right here with a 3rd and 5.
They swing it out. What a catch by Bush. Into the open field, beats Phillips. And did he get in? No, run out of bounds at the 1. Touchdown, they're saying now. "42 yards. What a catch by Bush.
That's Derek Brooks's position. You put the young man McCoy in there, didn't diagnose it quite quick enough, and it's a touchdown for New Orleans and Reggie Bush.
So Reggie, he's going pretty good right now on a number of fronts.
I left you hanging there, man. I'm sorry. Well, football's a game of inches. You can see right here just what we're talking about. Reggie Bush giving a nice stiff arm, holding off Buchanan, stretching it out, just barely getting that ball across the line of scrimmage. Don't know whether he stepped out of bounds or not. There is no challenge, so evidently he didn't. But classic example of just how tight a margin of error there is in this game.
24-20. That one through the end zone. And on the 20 is where Tampa Bay will send Jeff Garcia out to try and answer the big play to Reggie Bush.
Well, again, the young man McCoy, the linebacker that's in for Derek Brooks, kind of gets sucked up in to the line, tries to make a stab at it there. The explosiveness of Reggie Bush making a nice move back to the inside here. Reaches up and stiffs arm Buchanan. Stays in bounds and gets it into the end zone for the touchdown.
Tampa Bay has found a way to respond each and every time, and not a bad start on a first down carry for Warwick Dunn, a gain of close to 9.
Great example there of showing how the ups and downs of this game and the emotional roller coaster you're on when you're in the National Football League.
Done again, and that's good enough for a first down out to the 32. We talked about how slow it was outside of that opening drive from an offensive standpoint for both teams. But look what each has done since.
A lot of this is punch and counter punch. You get through 3/4 of the game, you see the way the game's going, you start to put plays in your back pocket, trying to call them just at the right time. Both coaches have done that.
Garcia looking for Galloway, and he was blanketed out there by Aaron Glenn and Kevin Kaesvelharn.
Glenn looked like he pulled, or Galloway pulled up, looked like he didn't think the ball was going to be thrown. I don't know whether he saw the safety over the top, figured Jeff wasn't going to throw it. He pulls up looking and now reacts like, oh, wait a minute, you actually threw the ball. That could be again a function of the fact that these guys didn't have a lot of time together in preseason.
To repeat, Galloway did not take a single snap in the preseason. Garcia did not play till the final game. Askew runs over one tackler and has enough for a first down all the way out to the 48. Even lost his helmet. But they'll move the chains, and we'll move things to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, keep in mind that when you are done there in New Orleans, it's game 2 of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. The Cowboys at the Cleveland Browns. Big expectations for both teams. You can catch their debut live right here on Fox when you guys are finished. Tom and Brian?
Very much looking forward to that one. Kurt, thank you very much. That's coming up next for most of you in game 2 of our NFL on Fox opening weekend doubleheader. Garcia just throws it away. And a flag comes in.
Yeah, they got a lineman downfield. They were trying to run a little shovel pass to the back where the lineman could get.
Ineligible man downfield, number 78 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Once Jeff couldn't get the pass off, he had to recognize that he had a guy downfield. You'd like to take off and run with it, but that's a lot to process. This was going to be a little shovel pass. You see the lineman now thinking it's going to come to the back. He's downfield running his assignment. He has no idea that Jeff Garcia keeps the ball, rolls out to the right, and tries to minimize the damage.
So they back him up 5. It'll be 1st and 15. Graham split wide to the right. Galloway to the 45. Got 4 yards back. 2nd and 11 upcoming for Tampa Bay as the clock rolls close to the 5-minute mark from the Superdome in New Orleans.
Aaron Glenn, even after 14 years in this league, shows you he can read and react and come up, make a good physical tackle on Joey Galloway.
Glenn just signed as a free agent from Jacksonville, is a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he is playing right now for the injured Randall Gay. Looking at Bryant all the way, and in coverage all the way again, the rookie Tracy Porter to bat it away.
Just basically trying to use his size, bringing a slant to the inside. And there again, I tell you what, this young man Porter is showing me something as a rookie. Played off the hip of Bryant very, very well. Nice play on the part of the rookie.
Perhaps the single biggest play of this game with less than 5 to go. And they better hurry up.
Yep, gotta get a timeout. Jeff Garcia recognizing that he needed to call timeout there. You know, they've missed a lot of time in training camp. Jeff Garcia, that time that you have when you don't have training camp time with receivers, you could see in the pregame warm-up, these guys working together. Jeff Garcia coaching them up all the time. Look, you zig, you zag, I'll do this, you do that. Trying to squeeze every rep they can all the way up to game time, trying to get that little bit of familiarity that maybe was lost during training camp and preseason games.
So here's Garcia. Last year came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, again cast off by Philadelphia. Became the first quarterback in history to make his NFL debut in the Super Bowl era, to start a playoff game for a division winner, 3 different franchises. Third down. Incomplete, thrown behind Galloway. And the Buccaneers will punt it away.
Yeah, that was a fade stop route. This takes an incredible amount of timing, an incredible amount of practice to get right. And given the amount of time that Joey Galloway and Jeff Garcia missed this summer, that's an ambitious throw given the lack of playing time they've had together this summer.
Now the question becomes, can this Tampa Bay defense come up with a stop? Lance Moore signals for a fair catch at the 17. 4:40 to go. Right here only on Fox. Drew Brees shooting holes in this Tampa Bay defense in the 4th quarter. Hitting Henderson in the final seconds of the 3rd on an 84-yard touchdown strike. And then a 42-yard touchdown pass to Reggie Bush to get the lead. They'll hand it to Thomas on 1st down.
You're in that gray area right now. The priority is almost as much to run time off the clock as it is to score. Obviously, you'll take the score, but with a 4-point differential, meaning that Tampa Bay, in order to get the win, is going to have to get a touchdown. A field goal won't do it at this point. The play calling becomes very critical because you want to take time off the clock. You want to be very careful. You don't want to put them on a short field, but you'd certainly like to march the ball down the field.
Monty Kiffin's defense facing a 2nd down and 7. Bear in mind the Buccaneers are out of timeouts in this game. That is of critical importance. They had to use 2 very early on in the half when they couldn't get to the line of scrimmage in time. Another time when a player was trying to run off the field before a punt, as Thomas is slow to get off.
Now you can see here just what you're talking about, Tom. Tampa Bay's got no timeouts. That's going to be critical.
We welcome those of you watching Atlanta and Detroit, where the Falcons, a very impressive opening 1-week win, 34-21 over Detroit.
I tell you what, with a rookie quarterback, Mike Smith, the city of Atlanta's got to be excited about that win. Detroit got to be very disappointed after a 4-0 start in preseason. and now 0-1 to start the season. Detroit's got a lot to fight back from.
You're listening to Brian Billick, joining us in the booth for the first time this season after leading the Baltimore Ravens to a number of playoff appearances and, of course, a Super Bowl title. I'm Tom Brenneman for our Fire Fox Sports crew. What a game it has been.
Well, it's as advertised. These guys have battled. You knew it was going to come down to this. New Orleans, the phenomenal offense. Tampa Bay's defense has given up a lot of yardage here. You got to be impressed with New Orleans has done defensively.
Very quiet in the first half offensively, but things have certainly opened up here in the second stanza. Tampa Bay is out of timeouts and the clock winding towards 3 minutes. A big third down here. And Tampa Bay's defense appears to have stopped Reggie Bush shy of a first down.
That's a big stop for the Tampa Bay defense. They've got plenty of clock left, even without the timeout, with just under 3 minutes. Jeff Garcia, this is where that veteran playoff experience has to kick into gear. And the New Orleans defense has a chance, like it has rarely done because they count so much on the offense, to step up and salvage a game.
Well, it looks like they're letting this clock wind down as far as possible, and then they'll spend a timeout. The Saints have 2 left.
That's a good timeout. That's a good use of the timeout. You don't get any points for leaving your timeouts on the board when you finish the half or you finish the game. And every second's going to be critical. We're going to get to the end of this game, and it may very well come down to not enough time left on the clock for Tampa Bay to get it done.
It has been a huge day for Reggie Bush. For those that questioned Bush and the selection of Bush in the first round 2 years ago, he's carried the ball 14 times for 51 yards. He has 8 receptions for 112 yards, including the touchdown that gave the Saints a current lead. Their last drive, a floater from Breeze, a great catch by Bush, beat a couple of defenders to the end zone.
And we'll say it again, 2 explosive plays that were longer than his longest plays in all of last year.
Short punt. Dexter Jackson up to get it. This guy can fly, and he's out to midfield. Wrapped up by Josh Bullocks. So with 2:24 to go, no timeouts left. Fabulous field position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need a touchdown. A field goal won't get it.
Well, you've got the full playbook here and your full play call sheet because you have plenty of time. Jeff Garcia knows how to keep a consistent tempo. Lots of time. You're going to get the break in the 2-minute break when we get down to that as an extra timeout, so to speak. So you got everything at your disposal here.
Over 400 and nearly 40 yards of offense for the Saints. Garcia would like to tack on 50 more for the Buccaneers. Antonio Bryant across the middle. That's a first down to the 39-yard line. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning, or will it? Garcia's trying to hurry him up to the line of scrimmage.
He'd like to get into the playoff before the warning and use that timeout. I don't know if he's going to get it in, but he would love to get this done.
He got it off. And he just
wait a minute.
He was outside the pocket.
He's outside the pocket.
And did it get to the line of scrimmage?
The ball cleared the line of scrimmage. I don't see any eligible receiver, but here's the explanation.
The quarterback is out of the pocket.
Giving the offense a chance to kind of regroup as well, but you want to, at the very least, make sure you got the right people on the play in the game defensively, making the right call. As you can see here now, the way they've drive down the field, just the way they've each scored, the numbers that they have, these teams have done incredible offense combination. You're over 700 yards of total offense together between the two. This has been quite a game. I don't know that obviously against this Tampa Bay defense, as good as New Orleans is touted to be, I don't know that Monty Kiffin could envision giving up over 430 yards of offense against the Saints.
Well, here we go. 4th down. They need to get inside the 19. intercepted by Scott Fujita. And after a rough week in New Orleans, they celebrate.
Jeff Garcia obviously having to step up and make a play. Might have maybe pulled it down and gone, but he's now, it's all or nothing. Dive with your boots on. See if you can thread the needle in there. It's great for the New Orleans defense to be able to step up and make a stop like that. This is going to go a long way for this team going forward, for them to step up at a critical time and preserve a win.
They started last season 0-4. Got back to 500, but then lost the final 2 games, failing to qualify for the playoffs. And so many people in this area, again, forced to evacuate their homes without power because of Hurricane Gustav, can certainly enjoy a Saints win in the opening weekend of this NFL season. Coach enjoyed it.
It was great. I appreciate this being the first game. This is fantastic. What a great way to start the season for the NFL and for the New Orleans Saints.
For more information on today's game, go to foxsports.com. It's time for the AT&T Game Break Show. Here's Kurt in LA.